It's set to be another long week in the House of Commons for the Prime Minister, as tomorrow attention turns to his flagship Rwanda immigration plan. The deal would mean, as I'm sure you know by now, that some asylum seekers arriving in the UK being sent to Rwanda would go there for processing. But after the Supreme Court ruled the plan unlawful, ministers have been working on changes to the bill. This is the problem, though. Some Conservative MPs don't think the plan, even with its amendments, is strong enough, and they're calling on Rishi Sunak to make it much tougher. Just yesterday, 5 migrants died as they attempted to cross the English Channel after the small boat they were in overturned just off the French coast. Joining me in the studio, our correspondent Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, and down the line, we're joined by immigration lawyer Harjap Singh Bangal. Ollie, good to see you in the studio. Harjap, good to have you on the programme. Oliver, 5 more people have lost their lives and it's freezing at the moment.
It was absolutely freezing. According to the prefect for the Calais region, it was only 7 degrees, the water temperature, on the early hours of Sunday when this tragedy unfolded. And according to reports from migrants who were on that boat, people had already started boarding it. So there was 15 people on the vessel when it then flipped over and the waves suddenly went really high. It was dark. Some of the migrants couldn't swim, and so they've tragically lost their lives. 5 people in total, 1 person still in intensive care, and it means that since 2021, there's been at least 44 deaths in the English Channel. Now, there had been a huge rescue operation that swung into place. There was more than 50 firefighters from the French side. French Navy had a helicopter up in the air. There was no English rescue operation that took place because this was deep in French waters. It happened south of Calais, which is a bit unusual. So what we've been seeing over the past year, 2 years, is the boats departing further up the French coast, so near Dunkirk. But it seems that with the money that England is giving over, or the UK is giving to France, there's now patrols that are happening along long coast stretches from Calais all the way up to Dunkirk. And so what seems to be happening now is that the boats are being pre-prepared in the water south. They're then being taken in the sea, and people are being asked to board them while the boats are already in the water. Now, Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, says it's heartbreaking that more lives have been lost, but he says it just goes to show that the Rwanda policy is desperately needed. Sir Keir Starmer says that that policy is a gimmick, and what needs to happen is that a Labour government would be targeting the people smugglers behind the operation. But just adds that pressure to the government. As you've said, this week, the Rwanda policy back in front of Parliament. The votes are going to be on a number of amendments, and when you've got the likes of Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, Lee Anderson, and Kemi Badenoch saying that they're going to support them, it makes it even tougher for the government to try to appease not only those on the right of the party, but the centrists and those on the left as well.
Terribly difficult, isn't it, as the government so prominently, so repeatedly, so forcefully saying no more small boats, stop the small boats, and then 5 more individuals lose their lives. I mean, it's just heartbreaking, and it makes it feel as if, although we keep being told what do we keep being told? There are a third fewer small boats. It doesn't feel that way when there are people dying in the freezing water, does it?
And we had a spell of 26 days before this tragedy unfolded where the weather was so bad that no boats came over. So then what you end up with in these camps just outside of Dunkirk, some that are just near Calais, you end up with a backlog because there are still people that are making the journey from North Africa, from Asia, coming through, and then you've got a backlog of people. The people smugglers are desperate to try and get these boats out because money has been paid. And so at the first sign of any sort of better weather than what had been previously, they're going to pack those boats and send them over.